We are back, and joining us now is Chief Butch Browning. He's our Louisiana State Fire Marshal. Thank you very much, Chief Browning, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you tell us how enforcement and non-compliance with these requisites is being handled, and how citizens who might feel like they have something they need to report can use those mechanisms?
First off, I want to commend St. Tammany Parish, and specifically the parish president, for their leadership in working with the state, working with the federal guidelines as Governor Edwards adopted them and deployed them in Louisiana. Specifically, we've been working with the parish government here in the Fire Marshal's office with several fire districts from Slidell, Madisonville, Mandeville, Pearl River, Goodby, and Abita Springs, to go out on this quest to educate people on the guidelines. You know, first and foremost, everybody knows the seriousness of this virus. And if you contract this virus, you get sick, you spread the virus, and in these tragic cases, people die. So, you know, certainly this has been an important mission for all of us in the world of public health and public safety to abate. And I think we've done a great job in learning as we go and try and do the right thing. You know, there was no code book, there was no standard on the mitigation measures on how you open up a business. And that's why when it came time to, I guess, enter into phase one, the Fire Marshal's office was the right agency because of our relationship with business people. You know, we stand for safety every day, but the most important thing we stand for after that is economic development. So we saw the need to be able to put our people in motion, both on a state level and on a local level, to help businesses understand what they needed to do to be safe and open up. And I think that's been tremendous. I mean, our OpenSafely.la.gov site, where people could sign up and where the public could go to get common sense guidance on how to operate a business, both from a patron standpoint and an owner operator standpoint. It's been great. And it's created a tremendous amount of collaboration. I mean, we have been in businesses, we've talked to people, we've helped them get table arrangements appropriate, we've helped them understand their capacity and understand, of course, what the medical professionals are giving us on how to mitigate, from the masks, from the hand sanitizers, from the sanitizing of the buildings and all these things. So, you know, as is no secret, our phase two does not look good right now. Our numbers are bad, and the governor's doing everything he can to hold us where we are. We don't want to step back, but if we don't stop the spread of this virus, you know, we may be in a situation we don't want to be in. So we're really amping up right now. Though we've been a consultant, we've been educating, we've been talking to people on the phone, and we have received complaints and concerns. Many of those we remedied by telephoning businesses. The last week and a half, we've been very proactive. We've actually gone out and I guess preempted what we call courtesy visits, where we go to random businesses and we go in and we make sure, number one, that business has the guidance on how to operate safely, and we work with them if they have questions, if they have misunderstandings. And in many cases, what we found is business owners have taken the standards and they've created a best practice that might even be better than the minimum standard. So, you know, I ring a lot of success in that. But the reality is we're still having exposures, we're still having positive tests. So we've got to do a better job. Maybe perhaps people are being a little complacent. Maybe they were more on their game, you know, some 4 weeks ago as it related to cleaning their business, to making that strict count to make sure they don't go over capacity, to make sure that social distancing occurs if people are seated in your restaurant. You know, we got to get past that and remind people today is very important, because what we do today will be judged and graded by positives or negative tests 2 weeks from now. So, you know, we've really amped up these visits. Certainly, we're very concerned about this weekend, this holiday weekend, just as you compare it to Memorial Day, where it's believed a lot of our positives occurred. We're going to go out. We're going to have most of our uniformed deputies will work all weekend, but we're going to start going into businesses that gather. And that would primarily be restaurants, bars, and event centers. We're going to go into those places while they're operating at full capacity when they're the busiest. We've tried not to do that before now, but we're going to go in and we're going to work with them and make observations and make sure they're in compliance. And we just got to take it this next level. And again, our spirit is about cooperation. Our spirit is about helping businesses be successful in a safe manner. And if we got people who can't work in that environment, then we're going to have to look at it from a different lens. And and of course, you've heard. I mean, there's a risk of losing your liquor license. There's a risk of losing your food service license. I mean, there's a risk of being accused of defying the proclamation. We don't want to have to resort to those things. I believe, and I'm a believer, that if you talk to people, if you bring people to the table and you create understanding, you get compliance. But we got to make sure we have full compliance now. We can't afford to live on 85 or 90% compliance. We need 100% compliance. So we're going to do that. So I'll tell you, from an enforcement standpoint, compliance is really easy. I believe that business owners want to do the right thing. They don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize their employees or their patrons or the visitors to the envelope of their building. But it starts with personal responsibility. You should not go into a business, and if you feel like the employees are not wearing masks properly, if you potentially feel like the building's not cleaned properly, or you think that the building's overcrowded, you need to speak up and talk to the management. It's no different than if I go get a meal and I'm not satisfied with my meal, I'm going to let the management know the meal was not prepared to my liking. That is the first step. And of course, the second step would be walk out the business, because, if you contract the virus, you got the virus. You can't give it back. So your personal safety is the utmost importance. And then finally, if you feel like there's a business that's not operating appropriately, you can notify the fire marshal's office. You can notify the local jurisdictions that are doing enforcement, and we'll go in a very courteous manner and clear up any misunderstanding. And that's just the spirit of cooperation. I think we've done a whole lot of great things by approaching this, by, I guess, extending the olive branch, if you will. And being nice about this, and people want to comply. I mean, that's kind of what I found. We have not issued any citations. We have not closed any businesses down across the state, because in the end, if we can sit and talk to people, they know this is real. I tell a story all the time. I have 6 phone numbers in my cell phone who are friends of mine who are not living today, that has passed because of COVID over the last 4 months. So it's real to me. I mean, I know what's happened.
You're encouraging the public to first and foremost have that conversation with the management and recognize that, just like you do, they want to have that spirit of cooperation as well. And it's very crucial to get to the next phase to cooperate and to comply.
And that is correct. And look, these business operators and owners, they have employees, and they manage their employees. They provide leadership to their employees, and it requires them to be on their game every day to make sure their employees are following the rules. And many of them want to know if they're not. So it really works if people can have a conversation.
And if a business owner or a consumer has any questions about the guidelines, or they've just decided to open up right here in the middle of phase 2, what kind of resources will they find on OpenSafely?
Yeah, so OpenSafely.la.gov is a tremendous resource. I mean, I'll tell you, we're probably really the only state that's really drilled down and given guidance, common sense guidance, even common sense guidance that businesses can figure their own capacity without the fire marshal or the government having to come out and do it for you. I mean, we really tried to create something to where it's a one-stop shop. You can have all the resources in your toolbox and open your business. But if you go to opensafely.la.gov, you can choose to sign up. And when you sign up, you answer about 4 or 5 questions, including the name of your business, where it's located, what kind of business it is. And when you sign up, you immediately are transmitted by email the current guidance on your business type. The beauty of being signed up is we can now push information to you as conditions change. For example, the folks who were signed up prior to phase 1 or in phase 1, as phase 1 went to phase 2, they were immediately transmitted to phase 2 documents as it was under development and upon final approval of the health officials. So it's really good situational awareness. We push information out on a regular basis to keep business people updated. If you don't want to sign up, you don't have to. There's a link underneath the sign up button where you can download the current adopted guidance on each business. So for example, if maybe you have a restaurant and you haven't opened yet, you can actually go and click restaurant phase 2 and see what's required. Same thing with a place of worship, same thing with a gym or even a movie theater for that matter.
Okay, well, I don't think I have any other questions for you, but is there anything else you want to add? And of course, we know your time is valuable, but we want to give you the opportunity to add anything you'd like to our listening audience.
No, I'm just going to double down on what you'll hear through this week. When you've already heard, it is very crucial that we take these mitigation measures very, very seriously right now. I mean, it's a personal responsibility. Some communities, some cities are mandating people wear masks. The state has not done that, but I'll tell you, as a personal responsibility, no matter what city you're in the state of Louisiana or a parish you're in, if you go in public, you should wear a mask and you should have hand sanitizer in your pocket or in your close proximity, so you cannot, number one, spread whatever virus you have, but also not contract a virus that may be in your area. We've really got to do these things and make sure that we're safe. And it's hard. Look, we're a state that, we hug, we touch, we socialize. I mean, we didn't know what social distance meant till this happened, because
Right.
we had no distance. We're a very close community, and it's hard to step away from that. But we've got to remain we got to remain really cautious about everything until they can get the virus created that we can all take and do away with this virus. So anyway, I would just encourage people to be vigilant, and and I appreciate the Louisiana people. I have the utmost respect for what our business people are doing, because they are doing a very valiant job. And I also have the utmost respect for our parish, our city leaders, because they're fighting a fight that they weren't really elected to do. Nobody thought a pandemic would be our emergency. I mean, we know what hurricanes do, we know what floods do, we know what tornadoes do, but we never understood as public service folks our role in something like this. And they're doing a great job, and we're standing up for people's safety, and that's what we're supposed to do.
Well, we thank you very much for joining us, Chief Browning, our Louisiana State Fire Marshal. Have a wonderful and safe